Dear friends, I am Father Manthra. Welcome to lesson 1 in our series Meditation taught by Jesus. Today, we begin under the section titled What Prayer is Not. And the very first lesson is called Prayer is Not a Mega Show. This is not just a title, it is a spiritual wake-up call. Jesus begins his teaching on prayer by doing something remarkable. He does not start by telling us how to pray. Instead, he begins by deconstructing what prayer is not. Why? Because for many, the very idea of prayer has already been poisoned by noise, by performance, by public display, by spiritual theatrics. And that is exactly where Jesus starts. Prayer is not a spiritual performance. That is the first truth. And that is where we begin. Why this matters? Let's be honest. Many people today walk away from faith not because they hate God, but because of what religion has become: a stage, a performance, a show. Ironically, many atheists are not rejecting Jesus. They are rejecting the version of God acted out, often poorly, by religious people. And Jesus, he saw it, he exposed it. He began his teaching by dismantling it. Now let's listen to Jesus' words. Gospel of Matthew, chapter 6, verse 5. When you pray, do not be like the hypocrites. They love to stand and pray in public places to be seen by others. Truly I tell you, they have received their reward. This is how Jesus begins his teaching on prayer. Not with breathing techniques, not with posture, but with a spiritual diagnosis. We often assume that the biggest threats to spiritual life are sin and disbelief. But Jesus flips that assumption. He shows us the real trap is pretense. Looking spiritual without being real. He uses the word hypocrites. In Greek, hypokrites means actor. In ancient Greek theater, actors wore masks to play their roles. So when Jesus says, don't be like the hypocrites, he's saying, don't wear a spiritual mask. Don't turn prayer into a theater. Stop performing. This is what Jesus attacks directly. What is spiritual performance? Spiritual performance means using holy words to appear devout, doing rituals to impress others, hiding inner poverty behind outer piety, turning prayer into a stage show. It replaces presence with presentation. Today, my dear friends, we may not wear wooden masks, but we wear psychological ones, even in prayer. Like the holy person's mask, the faithful religious mask, the strong believer mask, the joyful servant mask, And so prayer becomes a conversation between two false selves. The actor speaking to a fake version of God, while the real self remains hidden. In our minds, we imagine how others might admire our spiritual life, how God will reward our devotion, how deep we seem even to ourselves. This is a mental parade, the private mega show, where we are both actor and audience. Here is where science enters. When we feel admired, validated, holy, the brain releases a dopamine. And dopamine is a short-term pleasure chemical. It makes us feel good, but it fades quickly. It is designed for reward, not for transformation. Jesus knew this long before brain scans existed. That is why he said, they have received their reward. What reward? The applause, the self-satisfaction, the image, but not God, not peace, not a transformation. So, what is the first step in meditation according to Jesus? Not silence, not breathing, not a technique, but this. Stop the parade. Step off the stage. Take off the mask. Because prayer is not a performance. Meditation is not a mega show. Dear friends, here is the radical truth Jesus gives us. What blocks real prayer is not failure, but false success. Not being wrong, but thinking we are right because we are performing well. That is why Jesus begins here. So friends, as we begin this journey of meditation taught by Jesus, let this be our first step. Not to pretending, not to performing, just to presence. And in that presence, we will find God already waiting. Dear friends, in our next lesson, we will explore lesson 2 in this space. Prayer is not location-based. Thank you for joining us at Bodhini, the Neural Chapel. If this message stirred something within you, please like, subscribe, and share with others seeking depth. Thank you.